Welcome to Joe Stunner Boxing. Let's talk, if we really must, about Jake Paul, because, as you know, his latest bizarre, rather farcical fight against this one was against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., of course. That was at the weekend, and of course he won, as most of us thought he would, on points. Chavez Jr. didn't look like he really trained for a day. 39 years old, threw almost no punches for 8 rounds and had a little go in the last 2 rounds. I gave him the last 2 rounds, actually. But it was the usual, faded facsimile of what a fight might be, what a boxing match might be. Now, look, to me, for what I've seen of Jake Paul, he takes the game seriously in the sense that you can see he's learned how to box a little bit. He's very, very low level, one would say a novice, but he did start very late, and there's nothing wrong in that. And he has the guts to get in the ring and, so on and so forth. But obviously the quality of his opposition is, I was going to say grade F, but is there an alternative, a lower alternative to that? As I said in my post-fight review, would this guy win an area title? Maybe, yeah, maybe he would. It's possible. Not if he was in against an experienced, hardened pro, but would he win an English title? Very, very unlikely. He certainly wouldn't win a British title. And yet there he is on the massive stage fighting names. And that is really all he's fought is names. Because why did he fight Tommy Fury? Because Tommy Fury is Tyson Fury's half-brother. Why did he fight Mike Tyson? Because Mike Tyson is a legendary heavyweight champion. Why did he fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? Because of Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. These are names he's fighting. They're not really fighters. Tyson was I will never get over, I will never really forgive myself for watching that Mike Tyson, Jake Paul debacle. I very rarely get offended. I very rarely use the word offended because it's so overused these days. And usually it's said by people who just want to whine. But watching Mike Tyson and Jake Paul go at it was, if you could call it going at it, watching a guy in his 20s just toy with a truly great champion who's now pushing 60. Maybe I'm offended at the fact that I watched it. Maybe I'm offended with myself. But there's one thing I wanted to address, and that is that a lot of people are saying that these fights are fixed. They're all setups. So when you say the word fixed, what I think of is a sort of Jake LaMotta, Billy Fox sort of situation where one guy is literally paid to take a dive. And I don't believe that that's the case. Why don't I believe that this is the case? Because it doesn't need to be the case. Jake Paul, as low level as he is, and he is extremely low level, novice level, the fix doesn't need to be in for him to beat a 60-year-old man, even a former great champion like Mike Tyson. I mean, a 60-year-old who went boxed in 20 years and looked absolutely shot to bits when he did box 20 plus years ago. He doesn't need to beat Julio Cesar. He doesn't need to set up Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who at 39 has had very little activity. He's retired effectively. Someone who has always had that sort of front runner, spoilt kid mentality, who himself lost to Anderson Silva. Can you believe it? What was he, 44, Anderson Silva, when Chavez Jr. lost to him? An MMA guy. I mean, come on. I know he had a couple of pro fights, 20 years ago, whatever, but, it's ridiculous. It's just absurd, and doesn't need to set someone like that up, And, Tommy Fury was the only guy with any real ambition that he fought, and Tommy beat him. And Tommy Fury himself is extremely low level. I mean, would he win an area title? At a push, maybe. And Jake Paul lost to him. Although he did floor him, which kind of shows how bad Tommy Fury is. But yeah, it's... Look, I don't agree that these are setups. When I think of a setup, when I think of a rigged match, I think of one guy who has been paid to hit the floor or to lose, to not try, and so on. Now, I don't see that as being the same thing as Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. saying, I'm getting a lot of money for this. I'll go through the motions, I'll do the rounds, In that sense, you could say it is a setup because you know what the reaction's going to be. But it's not. It's not the same as paying someone to take a dive. It's a case of, I know this guy's not going to try. I know he's just going to accept the money. It's more money than he's seen since God knows when. I know he's going to walk away and carry on with his, weed smoking lifestyle, whatever it is. So I don't think that this really holds any water, this idea that we're talking about, the old days of Frankie Carbo and Blinky Palermo when they had a stranglehold on boxing and fighters were told, you will take a dive here. Or even if in the case of LaMotta, if you want a title fight, this is the legend of it. It may not be entirely true, but the legend was that LaMotta was told to lose to Billy Fox and then he would get a title shot, which happened. But so I don't know about. It isn't, to me. It isn't. There's no need for it to be entirely corrupt. Especially if you're fighting people from other combat sports who've never seen a boxing ring, who've never been in a boxing ring. Nate Diaz is a tough man, very, very tough man. And Paul would probably last, 15, 20 seconds in the octagon with him. But you don't need to set people like that up. They don't know what they're doing in the ring. Anderson Silva himself, who Jake Paul beat, is in his mid-40s. Now, is there anything wrong with someone who is a novice getting in the ring? Of course not. But there is when you're then talking about fighting Zurdo Ramirez. Can you imagine what Zurdo Ramirez would do to Jake Paul? It wouldn't last a round. Can you imagine what Jaya Pataya would do to Paul? He'd probably prop him up and humiliate him and just slap him around and not just beat him, but beat him up. I think Zurdo would probably just splatter him around the ring like a paint on a Jackson Pollock canvas. But I think Jaya Pataya's got a nasty streak to him and he'll want to teach Paul a lesson. But will Jake Paul get anywhere near a world title shot? Funny you should say that. He is being ranked in the top 15 by the WBC and the WBA. Can you think of anything more absurd? What on earth has he done to be ranked in the top 15? What's he done to be ranked in the top 150 by any ruling body? The circus truly has come to town. And by the way, I have to say, I enjoyed the card. The rest of the card was great. Some of these cards that Jake Paul puts on are good. They're really good cards, with top fighters and so on. And let's not forget the sort of great work that Jake Paul is doing with the women's game, signing up all these female fighters, building the women's game. He has something to offer boxing in that sense, in the MVP promotional sense. But his career as a boxer or a fake boxer, he's a complete charlatan. So those are a few thoughts about Mr. Paul. Like I said in my post-fight review of the Chavez fight, I'm very ambivalent about this guy. I can literally divide it into two categories. One side, he's doing things that are, laughable, embarrassing. On the other hand, he's doing some good work out of the ring. But let me know what you think. Give me your opinions below. Please, if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. I'm eager to hear your thoughts on the matter. Do you think Jake Paul's fights are literally staged setups or not? And give me your reasoning behind it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.